Hey guys, welcome to Ham and Spam episode 2. Again, still trying to get the bugs and stuff worked out and see how we're going to do this thing.
I'm Ham.
I'm Spam. Thanks for joining us. Again, this is episode number 2. Hammy and I were talking about going forward what we wanted to do to try to give you guys a little bit more background of what we're doing. As Hammy's slurping Mountain Dew.
Slurping on my Mountain Dew. Trying to stay awake.
God, we're getting old.
It's not even 10 o'clock.
It's not even 10 o'clock.
I could pass out.
Yeah, well, welcome to the jungle, buddy.
Yeah.
So, episode 2, Hammy and I kind of come up with, and because we're trying to figure out this whole podcasting thing. Hey, and big shout out to Justin Williams, first and foremost, for the
amazing intro music you just heard.
Yes, the intro music, and that's special just for us. So big shout out to Justin for that.
He is a god of music.
He is very good. And we do appreciate that. But episode 2, we wanted to talk about our top 5 games that kind of influenced us. They don't have to be for necessarily retro platforms, but a lot of them are.
Stuff we played throughout our lives that really, I know. All right, let's just get this out of the way. All right, we're Southern, okay?
Very Southern,
and I know that I sound like the love child of Gomer Pyle and Blanche from Golden Girls. I hate the sound of my voice, and I have to force myself to pronounce it like that. Otherwise, it comes out like voice, and I just want to go and hide somewhere. So, just please ignore the accent. I know it's there. I don't hear it myself, but people outside the South say it's there.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to look over some of our draw.
We're in rural Alabama,
very rural,
extremely rural.
There's literally like deer outside my door right now
with guns. Here they hunt you.
Anyway, before Hammy got off on a tangent, which, hey, it is going to happen from time to time, but
I hate my voice.
We did want to talk about We did want to talk about top 5 games that influenced us. Now, this is not necessarily our favorite games. These are the ones that kind of pushed us into gaming, into the love of gaming, and maybe even shaped some of who we are even today.
And this is actually a discussion I've had before with our buddy Jeff.
Yes.
That he and I have a lot of discussions like this, so I know he's listening because he's, I think, one of 2 people who's listened to our podcast so far. So.
Yeah, guys, give us a follow. Honestly, between the time that we did our first episode, our pilot episode, and this episode, we've literally spent the last 2 hours almost trying to figure out how the heck to post all these to iTunes.
A lot of
Googling. Hammy's been my Google guy. That's a T-shirt right there, Google guy. He's been my Google guy to help me get through all this, and right now it's in review for iTunes. So if you're waiting for an iTunes podcast, maybe it'll be there here shortly.
It's coming.
And if you're listening to this on iTunes, hey, guess what? It's already there. So yes, we didn't screw it up too much.
We made it.
Anyway, the top 5 games that influence us. I'm going to start. Mine are in no particular order at all. I would say one of the 5 games that influenced me the most would have to be my number 1, I guess, just from a timeline aspect, would have to be the old classic Super Mario's Duck Hunt cartridge from NES. Whenever I got my first NES, and I say first because I've had about 3, back in 1990, I guess, 89, 90.
I've never had an NES.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
My first was Super.
I have no idea where my original NES is. I may not even have it anymore, but and if my mom happens to listen to this, I want you to know I found the NES box up in the attic like 3 years after I got it. So I knew Santa Claus wasn't real at that point.
No, he just left it behind.
Yeah, he just left it behind. But the NES I got it for Christmas when I was 4 or maybe even 5, and for I don't know, a good year that was about the only game we had because my dad was like, "Hey, I'm not spending any damn money on on stupid video games," and we're trying to keep the podcast clean. So insert your 4-letter words wherever you want them, but
if it's a Raymond quote, it's got to be true to character.
Well, it's laden with 4-letter words, so let's not. This is also the same man that used to tell me, I don't know how to turn it on, I don't know how to turn it off, but I know what sound it makes when I hit it with a sledgehammer. So, anyway, I played the crap out of that game, and I listed it, as one of my top 5 influential because, I mean, just like with anything else, you never forget your first. And
well, which one, the Mario or the Duck Hunt?
Well, Mario because it was the platformer, the Duck Hunt just because it was cool to shoot that stupid gun and that stupid dog that laugh at you when you miss those stupid ducks.
Yeah, to this day, I don't know how that gun works.
Somehow I know that it uses the cathode ray tube. Like if you hook it up to a flat screen, it doesn't work.
So you said that like I know what it is, what that means.
The old tube style TVs, that's the only way it'll work. That's why it wasn't on the NES Classic for part of it. That was like the only game you ever used the zapper for.
Okay.
But, I kind of got good at the regular Super Mario Brothers until like that World 8. And my dad, of all people, the same person that told me he didn't know how to turn it on, he would have to get over that big jump there at 8. So I get all the way up to it. He handed the control to Dad, and Dad's like, "Yeah, you just hold this button, take off running." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what about the jumping part?" He's like, "Jumping?" I mean, it's like, what do you mean jumping, boy? But we would used to do the Duck Hunt and have little competitions and things like that, and that was when we were super, super young. So that's why it's one of my top influence games. What about you, Hammy? Give me one of yours.
I'm gonna go with the first one is Donkey Kong Country,
All
which
right.
is also gonna be our only overlap.
Yeah. Surprise. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Not the first game I played, not the first game I owned, but I think just the way it looked and the whole presentation of it, just the gameplay, the look, the sound.
It was pretty. It was
Yeah.
pretty. And one of the things I'm going to say about it on mine, which coincidentally is going to be probably my number 2, so we can go ahead and kind of tag team on this one. The sound. Like, I catch myself humming Donkey Kong Country to this day. And, like, I'll go on YouTube and just kind of
Some
put
of my
the background.
ringtones are Donkey Kong Country tracks.
It was a good track, and especially for the time.
Had humor.
Yeah.
And my gosh, the secrets.
The secrets,
Talking about orangutan gang.
Yeah, we were just talking about Orangutan Gang not long ago. I think there's either 5 or maybe even 6 special stages, and we were talking about
Which
how
is a level in there, by the way.
Yeah, by the way. Yeah. For y'all who don't know, it's Orangutan Gang is not actually a gang of bikers here in Alabama.
I don't know.
I guess it could be. Get some bald bikers that are really hairy everywhere, but let's leave that to the imagination, I guess. That particular level in general had 6 special stages in it, and you and I were talking about how when we played it together, I don't think we ever full blown completed it because we couldn't find all the special stages in that one area.
Yeah.
And so we never got it 101% together. Now I have by myself outside of that with
Allegedly.
the help from allegedly, according to Hammy. But
I want to see that save file.
with help from the little thing called the internet. By the way, guys, y'all are gonna find a lot of Simpsons references in our podcast.
One thing about Donkey Kong Country. The first time I heard about Donkey Kong Country, that was before the internet. That's before I even knew that there were gaming magazines.
No, wait a minute. There was no such thing as a time before the internet.
Well, a time before I knew about it. I got in the mail a VHS tape called Donkey Kong Country Exposed. To this day, I have no idea where it came from, who sent it, how they got my name and address. But it shows up in the mail, which back then getting mail was a surprise for me.
Oh yeah.
I put it in, it goes through the whole thing, shows off the game, all the stuff about it, just people playing it and talking about it, and I was in love with it before I played it. I had to have it. And I got it, I think, on launch day.
Sort of one of many, huh?
Oh, yeah, one of many. And, oh, my gosh. enough can't be said about it. But it really shaped my view of platformers after that. Because and as far as Super Nintendo platformers, I don't think it's as good as Super Mario World overall.
Agreed.
I still think that's the best platformer probably of all time.
Ever, yeah.
But it's just something about the way it was. Every level felt so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's jumping on top of baddies and platforms, and go from one to the other before get mine carts. It's all the same stuff, but it's different in every level. So I mean, they made it work, and in the graphics. You and I were talking about background graphics and foreground graphics,
oh gosh,
and
yes.
The dang snow levels to this day, when the snow starts falling in the back and the whole screen seems like it's getting white and the wind starts blowing, you can't tell what's what. A lot of thrown controllers, a lot of cuss words during those levels. So, but yeah, going back to your video, there's only one logical explanation. Future you sent that back to you.
That's probably what happened.
That's
means at some point I've got to procure it because that copy I think is either lost or destroyed somehow.
Kind of like with my porn collection from whenever I was like 12. I'll edit that out. Probably not, but still. I went from Super Mario World or Super Mario Brothers to Donkey Kong Country. One of the others that kind of shaped
Wait,
who
it's my turn. You did 1 and 2. I got to do number 2.
We'll do 2. Go for it.
Oh, you can go ahead. If you
No, you're good.
All right, I'm gonna do my number 2 is GoldenEye 007 for N64.
One of the first-person shooters.
Well, it was one of the first that was the way it was, where you could aim and kind of move the gun around.
Sure.
Because before that, you had your Wolfenstein, your Doom, and
right.
You just walked forward and the gun just kind of shot what it needed to. This one had auto aim, but it was the first one that was kind of realistic. Mm-hmm. You could aim the gun, and probably one of the few movie video games that was actually good.
Yeah. The movie video games don't have a good rep. That's for sure.
They're usually terrible. But GoldenEye,
unless it's got Lego on the backside of it, then it's pretty awesome.
But GoldenEye, it just completely revolutionized first-person shooter and shaped the future.
All the way up to Halo, and a lot of people consider Halo, kind of the godfather of first-person shooters. But
I'd call it GoldenEye.
Well, I'd call it GoldenEye, but as far as the two-stick first-person shooter,
yeah, that's true. Because you try to play GoldenEye now on the N64.
Oh gosh, it's so hard.
I can't do it.
How did we do it?
I don't know. I used to go over to my cousin Jeremy's house, and this is where a lot of my gaming influence came from. Because he would get the games before I ever knew about them. I don't know how. And then I would come home and go to Blockbuster. That's a whole another story.
Yeah, if you guys are born pre 1999, 2000, you probably don't know what Blockbuster is.
They've already turned this off. They even started. But I would go over there, and he and his 2 brothers and myself would play 4-player split screen PvP.
Trying not to cheat off each other's screen.
Oh, we screen cheated like crazy. But I mean, and that's another thing. That's one of the first games that introduced that multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like that I remember. And
yeah.
God, it was so good. The guns were great.
Which, going back, there might, like if you take a Mario Kart or a Super Nintendo, there might have been a 4-splitter for that.
There was a 4-splitter for Super Nintendo.
Okay, but that was all built in.
Yeah, only a few games did that, but it was perfect for the N64, and it was that started my love affair with first-person shooters, which still carries over to this day.
Yeah,
even though I didn't really play Perfect Dark, which was the spiritual sequel, until a lot later in life, but it was great too.
Yeah. I really well, just heads up, I wasn't the Nintendo 64 kid.
I was.
I didn't get one. My aunt ended up getting me a PlayStation because they were more readily available at the time, and that's kind of where I went with it. And
yeah, we kind of split there.
We kind of split a little bit there.
I was always Nintendo. You were Sega, Sony.
I was Sega, Sony, and then PlayStation 2 come out, and that was probably the most popular system that I had at the time was a PlayStation 2, and then truth be known, I wanted the new college football game when it came out, and it was out for Xbox 360 and not PlayStation 3, and that's the only reason I got an Xbox 360. That's the sole reason I did.
All that and the PlayStation 3 was grossly overpriced.
Well,
You could buy an Xbox 360 and a Wii for cheaper than a PS3 at launch.
My thing was I just wanted to play that new game on the newer graphics, and I believe Casey went with me and got it. If we didn't buy it in halves, and that's how I ended up going the Xbox route.
Yeah, we all came to Xbox.
Well,
by different ways.
That's where I ended up with the Xbox, and it stayed over at my cousin Jimmy's house for almost a year.
Yeah,
and
you didn't care for the 360.
I didn't care for it when it first came out. I was like, man, I don't like it. I only got it for this one game, and it's just kind of okay. And
then Halo 3 happened.
And that's going to be a biggie for us just personally when we do that episode.
Yeah.
So,
because I was not impressed with the Wii. I'm still not impressed with the Wii.
No, the whole jumping motion, I mean, it's good for kids and families, but as far as platform and actual pure gaming, I'm not. Now, I do enjoy the Super Mario Brothers Wii that they had for it. It's fun to an extent, but it gets kind of after a little while, too.
I want to sit back and press buttons. I don't want to have to lean forward and swing something. That's why the Zelda game on Wii, Skyward Sword, I've only played it maybe an hour.
Oh, really?
It's too much movement.
Okay, we've filtered off down a pig trail.
Oh yeah, there's something else we're going to do. We're going to chase some rabbit trails. We're going to ramble.
So that was your 2, so I can go with my 3.
Yes.
Okay, so again, in no order, my 3, my third, we'll kind of go. I guess we'll kind of go in a chronological order as far as the game I played. One of my biggest influential games was the Sonic 3 game, particularly the one with the Sonic and Knuckles attachment. Mm-hmm. You know, because Sega decided, hey, we're going to build this huge game and get it out by Christmas. And they go, oh, no, we can't get it out by Christmas. Let's just take half this game and we'll just cheat the customer out of another $60 at the time. And
see, I didn't know that until recently.
Oh, really?
Until you told me not too long ago. I thought they were 2 separate games. I didn't know that they were.
They are 2 separate games, but they're meant to be played together. They were supposed to be released as one big game.
Because can't you hook them up?
Yeah, it's got the lock-on technology is how they deemed it, and that's how it was meant to be played, was with Sonic 3 locked on. So basically, you play through all of Sonic 3, then you come through and you play through all of Sonic and Knuckles. And if you get all the emeralds in Sonic 3, you get the hyper emeralds in Sonic and Knuckles. And then there's a secret level at the end where Hyper Sonic is trying to destroy Dr. Robotnik and, you know, get the Master Chaos Emerald. I mean, it gets kind of way out there a little bit. You have to kind of play through it. But that right there was a big one for me because, gosh, to me, the Sonic soundtrack is iconic in itself.
Yeah, well, that soundtrack was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, a no-name Michael Jackson, and you know why that was, don't you? Because all of the sex scandal stuff that he had going on would kind of come out about the time that game was getting ready to come out. So they removed him from it, A, and then B, he didn't like the way it sounded on the 16 bits. He's like, no, that's not the way it sounds. They're like,
that's the best we can do. That's the
best we can do. We've only got 16 bits there, Michael. So
and that's why it's not on like the Sega Classic Collection.
That is
that sucks.
I've got Sonic 2 on my iPhone that I would let my son play. You know, when we were just on long car trips or whatnot. And you can do 4, you can do CD, you can do 1. And, of course, I've got 2, but 3 and Knuckles are missing, and it's primarily because of the soundtrack and other copyright issues.
That Sega Classic Collection, that's like 40 games.
Yeah.
It's glaring how the hole there where Sonic 3 should be.
Yeah.
It's 1 and 2, and it's just... I
mean 2's great. One set up a good character. Really. It set up the good character. Got to go fast. Going to get the rings. This, that, and the other. 2 was probably the most beloved of the franchise, just because it's the sequel. Whatever was wrong with 1, they fixed.
Yeah.
The soundtrack in 2 is again iconic.
Chemical Plant Zone.
That's my ringtone on your phone. So I call myself sometimes when you're right here with me, or call you sometimes when you're right here with me, just so I can hear it. But no, the soundtrack and then the graphics. We were talking about with Donkey Kong Country. To me, Sonic 3 was almost on par in its own way with Donkey Kong Country as far as the graphics went, with the way they changed the backgrounds and foregrounds and the vines on Angel Island and things like that. It was just amazing, especially for the time. They kind of maxed out what the Sega could do, which is why they went to that 32X, which flopped. But yeah, so I mean, it was one of my favorite games, and if it was right here hooked up right now, I'd absolutely play it because I loved it that much. So that's my number 3.
All right, my number 3 happens to also be my all-time favorite video game, and that is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for N64.
Again,
number 3 or 2? 4. No, that's number 3.
Yeah, that's number 3.
I lost my train of thought. Ocarina of Time.
That was 4. You got the... Oh, no, that is your 3. I'm thinking of series of the game. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, Ocarina of Time, when I played it, I remember... I think I borrowed it from a friend first, and I played it for about 10 minutes, like, I have to have this game. And went out and got it, or got my parents to go out and get it. It just blew my mind. Just the open world aspect of it, which in retrospect is not really that open.
No, it's not. I mean, you're going to have a hill or something you can't climb that's going to kind of keep you in.
Yeah, it's kind of boxed in, but just the layout of it. And you start out, you're a kid, and you start out in the woods. You have to get out of the woods, and you have to go meet the princess. You have to find the 3 stones. And then it's the time skip 7 years in the future, which really just blew my mind. We're talking about sound. The music for Legend of Zelda has always been iconic. But when I think about the music, what really stands out was the Forest Temple, which is the first dungeon you go to when you're an adult. And that's really where it felt surreal to me, that game. It's like, I'll never look at video games the same again. Just the layout of it. It's like a haunted house in the middle of the Lost Woods. And it was just, everything about it was just so well done. The gameplay, the look of it, which unfortunately doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah, that's one thing you're going to get when we start reviewing these is the one thing that's going to get an exemption from our re-review is going to be the graphics, because it's part of the time, it's part of the system,
Well, like your 16-bit stuff holds up better.
Well, it does. It really does.
That's weird. But
and I wonder if that's just, and this is another conversation for another day, but I wonder if it's 2D versus 3D stuff. I mean, you and I talked about this before.
I think it is. I think that's why you look at Nintendo now, they're doing a lot of cell shading.
Right.
And I think that's going to hold up a lot better. But Ocarina of Time, and despite the fact that it still doesn't look as good today as it did in, 97,
right.
98?
Well, HD TVs, that kind of stuff, it doesn't help.
You can't play it on that.
We played Donkey Kong Country and everything, and we love Donkey Kong Country.
You got to play it on old TV.
But you got to almost play it on an old TV. Even an older flat screen TV, it makes it look a lot better. That old TV I have, that we've...
Yeah, but despite that, it still doesn't take away, because
you
start
still got
playing
the sound.
it and you get used to it.
You still got the sound. You still got the gameplay.
Great story.
And of course, the nostalgia that goes with it.
Yeah, there's so much to that game. There's such depth to it. All these characters you meet that you really feel for. Mm-hmm. Plus the whole mechanic of getting the ocarina and learning these different songs. Just everything about that, I loved it, and that started my love affair with Legend of Zelda games, which is my all-time favorite franchise.
I can see that.
I'm 35 years old and I own Zelda amiibos, so there you go. You know what? I'm not ashamed.
Oh well, you should be.
I probably should be. We'll edit that out too.
Well, yeah, we'll edit that out too.
You have your collections. I've got mine.
Well. Just before we move on, Legend of Zelda was not a huge fan. I guess my favorite...
Well, our friendship is over.
Well, nice knowing you the last 30 years. The one Zelda game that I probably played the most of is it Link to the Past? It's on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I probably played it the most.
Another great one.
It is a great one. It is a very good game.
Some consider it the best.
But
I can't really argue with him too much. I just think Ocarina's,
yeah,
for me personally, I think not only just the game, but when I played it. I was like 15 or 16.
it was very influential.
Yeah, it just at that age, I guess, my little teenage mind was completely blown by the game.
Well.
And really and truly, I haven't had that same feeling from a game until Breath of the Wild.
The newest one.
The newest one. Just you play it and you just really feel like, what the heck?
Yeah. So, a little pause there. Yeah, my kid, we are filming this in my kitchen because filming.
We're on film?
We're on film.
Where's the camera?
We're recording this in my kitchen, so there's a lot of sound bouncing off and everything, and my kid is in his room.
Which doesn't have a door.
Which doesn't have a door, which is another story for another time. And I hear him. He's in there talking to people playing Fortnite, which I despise that game.
I do too.
Oh my gosh, I despise that game.
I think I despise it more because kids love it.
I think so. Is this how our parents were when we were growing up?
That explains a lot.
That explains a lot. But anyway, I had to mute to tell him to shut up for a minute. So, going back to Legend of Zelda, didn't play a whole lot. The very first one for the regular Nintendo frustrated the crap out of me.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of secrets, a lot of just screen changing because it's an overhead view and you're trying to get to a spot and I didn't know where I was going and you got to put a bomb just randomly somewhere on the map.
I remember playing the first one a long time ago at someone else's house because I didn't have a NES, but Ocarina of Time was the first one I actually really played.
Right. Kind of the same with me with Link to the Past, which is why.
See, I've gone back and played older ones since then. I played Link
and it's not bad. It's not a bad story, just overall. I mean,
it's amazing. It's I don't know.
But because
I'm a Nintendo guy, so.
Right? Well, because I was a Nintendo 64. I didn't even have a Super Nintendo until about 2 years ago. But because I wasn't the Nintendo guy, I never really played Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or any of those, anything going forward, really. And there's a sense of, hey, I kind of missed out on that because I hear of how great these games were. And when we do the review, we're gonna play through some games. We may have to have a longer review, an extended review, if we're going to start doing some Zelda games because the gameplay is just so long. But
a lot there.
The few times that I have played Zelda, I can't get past the whole kid thing. I'm like, man, this is just stupid.
It's not always
slow.
a kid.
Oh, I know, but I'm just talking about that first part. Like, I never became an adult.
Yeah, and it was kind of off-putting the first time I saw it because I was like, I want to be a little kid, even though I was a kid.
Right.
But and you actually play it, and it's just wow, this is amazing. This is incredible, and it hooked me. It absolutely hooked me. That's my favorite action adventure.
I tell you, the big turnoff for me for Ocarina of Time was that stupid fairy. Hey, listen.
Listen.
Hey, listen. Watch out.
Like Navi. It was sad at the end when she left.
She
Spoiler
leaves?
alert.
She leaves?
Yeah.
For a game that come out in, what, 97?
Yeah, 20-year-old game.
Moving on.
All right.
Another pig trail. Another one of mine that... hold on. One other thing I wanted to say about that. The flute, I guess, is an ocarina that you had to play. I mean, it makes sense.
I have an ocarina in real life too.
Oh my god!
I know it.
Anyway, the one thing I do remember is whenever you were infatuated with this game, is I would come over and you had found, like, I don't know if it was a website or if it was maybe in a Nintendo Power or some magazine like that, the tunes where you could play. Not associated with the game, like you played the Simpsons tune on it.
Oh yeah.
Just to play it. So I mean that was always kind of fun. So that's just a memory. It's not necessarily.
And it was cool that you could do that.
Yeah. Like you didn't have to play like here's a list of 10 songs you play to do certain little things. It's play whatever you want.
Yeah,
maybe you find something.
Yeah.
Who knows? So moving on though, my fourth was the original Metal Gear Solid for PlayStation. There's a couple of PlayStation games that I really, really enjoyed, and this was one of them. to me, the PlayStation didn't hold up quite as well as some of the other gaming systems because it was new, and it was completely different because it was on disc. Everything up to that point had been on cartridge. So you've got, studios that are trying to make games for both systems, but it's completely different. So, and I was one of the few kids that had a PlayStation. So, you got your Crash Bandicoots and things like that are platformers, but then you roll into something like Metal Gear Solid and how iconic that whole story was, the things that you could do. If you wanted to be stealthy about it, be stealthy about it. If you wanted to just run through and just shoot people in the head all day long, have at it. It was the overhead view, but it was a scrolling overhead, which was neat, and it had some first-person aspects. Yeah. You could run around in the snow, and the guards would see your footprints and start following the footprints. Which
at that time was amazing.
Oh, it was awesome, because you sit there and make the guard just sit there and go in circles. He never finds you, so it was fun.
And it's still just amazing.
And again, memories. You came over to the house one night up at Mom and Dad's.
Yes, it was right after Vacation Bible School. we
stayed up.
We were hopped up on Kool-Aid and hot dogs.
Yes. We played that game. I was like, Hammy, we're going to beat this game tonight. We're going to start it, and we're going to go all the way to the end.
And by way, you meant you.
Yeah, because it is a one-player game. I kept asking if you wanted to play. You're like, no, I'll just keep going. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I was petting the ferret.
That's another story.
That's not an innuendo. That he had an actual ferret.
I was pet sitting. Would you call it pet sitting?
Yeah, that poor ferret. What was his name?
Luis. Yeah, we're not going to tell the story, but if you want to know the story,
we didn't hurt the ferret.
Hit us. No, we didn't. But hit us up on Twitter, maybe a DM or something. Maybe we'll tell you what's going on.
Nothing bad.
Nothing
bad. Fine. I like that ferret.
Anyway, we played it. It's like 16 straight hours or something to try to.
Yeah, it's probably like 8. We finished it by morning.
Well, we did finish it by morning. But
you'd beaten it already.
So. I had, so it helped, but I don't think. I mean, I'm sure I died, but I don't think we had to.
Snake.
But that was one of the first games that I played over and over, and we talk about secrets and things like that. There was a lot of secrets. Just you had box A that would ship you here. You had box B that would ship you there. You had the night vision. You had the thermal. And all
the
bandana for the cigarettes and all that, and you had to find all that stuff. So that that was one of those games that you played trying to find everything, and then it had the ranking system too. So if you did really really crappy, it'd basically tell you it's hey, you got a ranking of rabbit or mouse or something.
Good luck figuring that out.
Yeah, good luck figuring that out. But apparently a mouse or a rabbit's bad and a fox is good. So.
As far as looks, that game still holds up.
It does still hold up because it's far enough away, I think, that it hides a lot from the human aspect.
Yeah, you're not up
because it's very polygon. Yeah. I mean, because it's 32 bits, I guess.
And there was a re-release on GameCube called Twin Snakes.
Yeah, Twin Snakes.
I've got it.
They really need to make an HD remake of that because even whenever they do the cutscenes and stuff, it's still
because of the whole Kojima.
Yeah, probably not. I know they did an HD remake, and I don't know how they got by with this, but they did an HD remake of 2, 3, and maybe even 1 or 2 of the ones that come out on PSP, but it came out for 360, and again, I purchased that from a nostalgia standpoint because I love those games. 2 was a little janky. It's a PlayStation 2 remake, and that could be it too because those other 2 were on PlayStation 2. If you hear the rain,
it's coming down.
It is coming down. I apologize if you actually hear that. But anyway,
I'm sorry I made it rain.
And we ain't talking about dollar bills, y'all.
Played the Song of Storms from Ocarina of
Time. That game, as good as it is, it does not hold up well on the 360 because a lot of the things that you have to do are pressure sensitive. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, the Xbox 360 didn't really do anything pressure sensitive. So, there was one where you could go up and you could hold the guard up and hold your trigger to hold them up, and when you let go of the trigger, it would shoot. But in PlayStation, if you slowly let off the trigger, it wouldn't shoot. You could still just kind of hold him up and say, hey, what do you got? Give me some info, whatever. But as soon as you let go of it on the Xbox, it would shoot them and either alert the guards or kill the guy or whatever. So wasn't as good. But that original Metal Gear Solid, man, I played it.
Remember the Psycho Mantis fight?
Oh, how cool was that?
He would read your save files.
He'd read your save files and say
the GameCube version. He would read GameCube games too.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that fight go on GameCube? Do you remember? Did you have to switch the port?
I think you did.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember.
Well, they even had a throwback, I believe, in Metal Gear Solid 4, where somebody was kind of the psychic. Well, they were the psychic. They had the psychic abilities, and they're like, you can do this, you can do that, and people were trying to change to the second player and do something. It's like, yeah, that's not going to work this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was a throwback.
I love the names too: Psycho Mantis, Decoy Octopus.
Yeah.
All those.
Vulcan Raven.
I found a generator back in the day that would generate your name, and mine was Magma Ostrich. So if I was in the world of Metal Gear, I'd be Magma Ostrich.
I have no idea what mine would be, but I would try to make it to where it would be max power.
Yeah.
Because
Magma Ostrich sounds like the guy you killed in the first level. I would go down pretty quick. Actually, I would just, I'm just getting out of here.
Yeah, just leave. Just leave.
I'm going back to base.
There's nukes on this island.
Yeah, I'll be in the break room.
What do you have for your number 4, Henry?
My number 4 is a PC game.
Gosh.
Well, it's Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind.
So that's the one before
4.
Well, what the hell is 4? I can count. Oblivion, that's right.
And the reason it's Morrowind instead of Oblivion or Skyrim is because
you put a lot of time in Skyrim. A lot of time.
The reason it's before those is because it's the first one I played of the Elder Scrolls series.
There you go.
And it was out on console. It was out on Xbox. Actually, I think I read somewhere where they wanted to bring it out on PlayStation. PlayStation's like, nah. And Xbox is like, yeah, you can put it out on this. So Bethesda and Xbox had a real good working relationship. But I was at college, had my first PC. I was at Jacksonville State.
Everybody listening can hear you scratch your beard right now.
Nah. And so anyway, now you're gonna throw me off.
I did. College.
Elder Scrolls
3.
I was in Walmart and I saw the game for cheap, and I was like, I've got a PC, I can play it. I really couldn't. It was very janky. I had to play on the lowest settings, but I still enjoyed it. It was true open world. It was, you see it, you can go there unless it's beyond the ocean. But it was another one that really amazed me because of how big it was. You could go to all these cities.
For those of you who don't know, Hammy just gave me an eye whenever he said how big it was.
We'll edit that out.
No, we won't.
Anyway, you got all these cities, and they were open. And Oblivion and Skyrim, you had a loading screen when you went into a town or city. And Morrowind, you didn't. You just went straight to it.
Right.
Now, if you walked a few hundred feet, you would get a loading screen. But what hooked me on that game is you start off, you make your guy, and one of the worst character creations I've ever seen. You make your guy, you're on a prison ship, you go through this whole thing, you have to answer these questions to figure out what sign you are, what class you are. Mm-hmm. They ask you all these weird questions like someone steals your sweet roll. What do? You kill them, you report to authorities, all this stuff, and it was almost like a personality test.
Right, and it kind of shaped your character.
Well, you finally get out in the world, you go off. I walk out of town, and the first thing that happens is a guy falls out of the air, smacks the ground, and dies in front of me. I was like, what the heck just happened? And you inspect him, and he's got a book where he was trying to do a spell to fly. And obviously he failed. And just from that moment forward, that set the tone for the game for me. It's like,
well, it's a hook. It's like, hey, that's kind of neat. I mean, apparently this guy can fly. Why can't I?
And he had some of the spells on him, so you could do the same thing, and with the same results. But it was great. It was, you go back and play it. It does not hold up well. Some people have tried to upgrade it.
Yeah.
Like, not Bethesda, but like fans have tried to put it on the Skyrim engine. It was different because it wasn't your typical medieval fantasy setting. Everything is real alien looking. But the story was incredible. The story was amazing. Because you go through the story and find out you're a reincarnated warrior king. And the people who betrayed you are basically gods now. So you got to get revenge on the gods. But it was amazing to me, just the breadth of it, and that probably started my love affair with those massive RPG games.
Yeah,
that's what really hooked me with RPGs. It wasn't the JRPGs that take turns smacking each other.
I still hate those.
I've gotten used to it, but it was.
What's Pokemon?
Yeah, Pokemon's an RPG. If you think about it, football's an RPG.
Shut up. Shut your damn dirty mouth.
But it was it's an open world. Create your guy. You live your story. You can join all kinds of different groups. You can murder people. You can do this and that. And it was great. That's why I was eager to buy Oblivion when it came out, based on my experience of Morrowind. And then Skyrim. And I'm excited for the next one. If, Bethesda gets their act together, because they've really messed up here lately with their.
Really?
Yeah, they're getting greedy with their Fallout 76 crap, but whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. They are Fallout.
Yeah, microtransaction mess.
Yeah, new games. This is more or less why we wanted to do a retro review, because there are games out there that you're gonna love from now till 50. And if you're 5 and you've just picked up Super Mario World, you're still gonna love Super Mario World when you get 50.
How many games now can you say that about?
Not many, and that's why we actually kind of dabbled in how far up we want to go. Do we want to go current system? Do we want to go last gen? And I know we said last gen, but even then, there's not a whole lot.
There are a few, I think, that will stand the test of time. Most of them probably have Nintendo on them, just because that's how they make their games. They make them. They want you to play this from 5 to 105. But Morrowind, and I don't know if I could go back and play it per se because of how it looks. Because it, like I said, does not hold up well.
Yeah.
I tried playing it recently, and it's still, like I said, you walk a few feet, loading screen, walk a few feet, loading screen.
Right.
But you got past it because of how good the game actually was. Great ending to the game, too.
Well, you've gone on for the last, 6-7 minutes about Elder Scrolls 3 on PC, and once you said it was for PC, I totally tuned out, so I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah,
I'm anti-PC.
Yeah, you're a console peasant.
I guess so.
It's pathetic.
Yeah, well, just for everybody listening, we're not going to do a whole lot, if any, PC games, because the way we're going to do our format, we're going to play the game and do a re-review in a sense.
Yeah,
so.
I was raised on console, but I'm a PC guy now.
Whatever. I don't know you anymore.
I'm hammy.
Speaking of, we're not friends anymore after 30 years. My number 5, I kind of went back and forth on this, and I actually changed it even right as we, started recording this. And my number 5 was going to be Resident Evil. I put a lot of time in that original Resident Evil director's cut.
Barry,
where's Barry? This looks like Jill's gun. Because I did like the game, it was massive for its time. Original PlayStation. To me, there aren't a whole lot of them, but the ones that are there, they're pretty iconic.
It was great. I will have to say, I think the GameCube remake was better.
Well, and on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter at Ham and Spam 1 on Twitter, Resident Evil the GameCube version, it just had an 18th anniversary, 20th anniversary, something like that. And I told the story of how Hammy wouldn't play it there for a little while because it kind of scared the crap out of him.
I was in a room full of other guys, college age guys, who were too terrified to play this game. We're sitting there playing it, and behind us, someone had their cup sitting there, and the ice melted and just made like that sound.
Right.
And we all jumped.
Well, I remember it wasn't so much that it scared me. There weren't. I mean, if you went by a window, you kind of knew that either a zombie arm was going to come out or a dog was going to jump through. But just in general, I loved that game.
What scared me is you go through a door and you hear zombies and you're looking straight at your face. It's like, I don't know what's in front of me.
Well, yeah, the camera angles did kind of hurt that game. And if they ever remake it, like they have 2, 2 is more first person now, I believe.
Third person.
I'm sorry. Straight up third person.
Yeah. More like Resident Evil 4 was.
Right. So
what's your number 5? We kind of got
we got off on Pig Trail again. My number 5, and we even talked about it before we started, was NCAA football. Kind of talked about it a little bit with the...
Which one?
Yes. In general, as a series, because, I was that guy, me and Casey Mooring and I were the ones that were in line at midnight when it released, and we'd play it. I remember one in particular, I want to say it was maybe the 2006 when it was still on PlayStation 2 with Desmond Howard and the Heisman, everything. We got it, and we went to Taco Bell and got like 20 Crunchwrap Supremes because we knew we weren't going anywhere for the next several hours. We were going to do seasons and recruiting and playing each other and everything else. But I'm a big football guy. I love football. Love the X's and O's of it. I love the competition of it. I love the offensive side of it especially, but even the defensive side of it, and just coverages and that kind of stuff. And you can just really see how it's progressed throughout. And it's just so good. And I hate that series isn't out anymore.
Yeah, it sucks.
2014, they've still got a fan community that's making regular rosters and all that. The only thing that kind of sucks, if they could have waited one more year before they took it away, you had the college football playoff.
I think there were a lot of people who were fans of the series who weren't even as big of fans as actual football.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, now, it's always going to play second fiddle to Madden. Madden's just got a huge following in the way they do their Madden cards and all that. We basically put together a real life fantasy team in a way, and it's your team, and it's neat, but it's not really my cup of tea. I like the run and gun offensives and the tradition that goes with it. And we've been in fantasy football leagues before and things like that, and a lot of the times we just pick a guy because we know he's a good player, and that's it. We don't really
there's
know
a lot
him.
more to it when you're playing a college game and you're hearing the marching band.
Absolutely,
there's something about that is more football to
Absolutely.
me than hearing like some rock song.
Right,
or
and the early NCAA football games weren't great, but when they kind of started mirroring the Madden back in like 99, 2000, that's where I really got into it. And that for a very long time has always been one of my favorite series, just in general. Mm-hmm. Broken a lot of controllers.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Between PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 controllers, not to mention property damage that goes with it.
We have to do an episode on just stories.
Yeah.
We got that one. You know the one I'm thinking of.
I know. Yeah, the Gorilla Slam onto a tempered glass table. Casey, if you're listening, it's not my fault I threw that interception, or the one before that. Or the one before that.
It was the internet.
It was the internet.
We may have to have Alex on.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. We may have to, next time Casey's down, we all may have to get together and talk about just round table what exactly happened. Because there's going to be several.
30 for 30 on that night.
Yes. So there's some stories that really go with this kind of stuff, guys. So, stick with us, and we're going to go down memory lane, of course, but you're going to hear some stories that are very unique to us that hopefully you guys will get a laugh out of, and anybody that knows us will definitely get a laugh out of. So those were my top 5. Again, just a quick recap for mine. Mine were the original Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong Country, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Knuckles. Metal Gear Solid, and then NCAA football. So you've got a couple of platformers in there, you've got a sports game, and you've got the action adventure there in Metal Gear Solid. Hammy, round out your 5, buddy.
All right, my number 5, I'm going to be quick about it because I don't know if you're signaling we're at the 50-minute mark or you're about to watch Hawaii 5-0. Either way, I know that I need to hurry up. Mass Effect for Xbox 360. Mass Effect, an RPG. I think you noticed the last 2 are RPGs.
Last 2 are RPGs.
That's where I started getting an RPG thing. Mass Effect, it's funny. I'd played a game on PC a few years prior called Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, which was an amazing game. And it's by a little company called BioWare, which is not doing too hot right now. But back then, they were great. And I had my Xbox 360. I only had a few games on it. And I get to GameStop with enough money, Christmas money, to get Halo 3 and something else. I see Mass Effect and I see BioWare. I didn't even know anything about the game, but I grabbed it simply based on Knights of the Old Republic and Jade Empire, another game they did. Both amazing. But I love Mass Effect. One-player game, one-player RPG. You make your guy, you have your story, you build a background for him. But you go through the game, and you're going from planet to planet. I won't go into the story. But the NPCs were so well written that they felt like real people. And you could make different choices that would affect later on in the game and actually affected the sequels.
Yeah, because it would go through, your save files? Is that right?
Yeah. And I remember just playing this game and thinking,
how in depth it was.
Yeah, how in depth it was. And it was some of the best storytelling I've seen. A lot of fun. It's very RPG-ish. I would say of the Mass Effect series, my favorite was 2. But as far as influencing me, the first one. That's
sure.
I probably did about a dozen playthroughs on it, just having different characters. I'd have a character that was all just straight good, one that was evil, then I'd have one that was kind of midway between, and have different origins for them, save different crew members, do different actions, because I wanted to see how those played out in the sequels. And it played out fairly well until about the last 15 minutes of Mass Effect 3, when it just boiled down to what color explosion you got at the end. They dropped the ball. Good game until the end. But Mass Effect 1, loved it. Great music, great everything. I could still go back and play it.
Well, and that's one of the things that you'll see with everything that we have here is a lot of replayability, too. You're talking about playing through Mass Effect several times. I remember you saying you put buku of hours into it. And I know you and I together have put buku of hours in Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye and other games and NCAA football. I know you're not a huge football guy, but you've played them.
I like football. I just don't like sports games because they cheat.
Well, yeah, they go into, what do you call it?
Alex calls it invincible mode.
Invincible mode, that's what it is.
I feel the same way because I start losing all of a sudden.
Or you give up a touchdown when you pitched a shutout the entire time.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I got better things to do than this.
So, just in review of Hammy's, his first was Donkey Kong Country, followed by GoldenEye, then Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64, then Elder Scrolls 3. There's that southern accent
there
coming
it goes,
in. Morrowind, and then the original Mass Effect.
At least you pronounce bread with one syllable.
Bread. But Hammy had platformers, first-person shooters, action-adventures, and a couple RPGs, where I had an action-adventure, 3 platformers, and then a sports game. So, guys, we're at the 53-minute mark. I have absolutely no idea if this is the length that these podcasts need to be. No one's probably going to hear this, so it's not really going to matter. Anybody out there that's not named Jeff or Casey or maybe Alex or Clint or Hammy, if you happen to find this and listen to it, do us a favor, just tell a friend. We'd like to get this thing kind of off the ground and just kind of do it for you guys. To begin with, we're going to kind of do it for us and see if you guys like it. And if you do, subscribe, whatever you got to do. We're completely new to this.
We have no idea what we're doing.
We have no idea what we're doing.
We're so in over our heads.
We really are. So, just logging off. This is kind of what we're about. What we're going to do. Hammy and I have talked about maybe doing one more quick podcast for just kind of see how an actual game review will go, because we've played a game or two here recently that we've put some time into that we can actually review. Yeah. So we may do one more podcast tonight and drop it, and that way you guys have 3 episodes. And
you want to spoil what it is?
Let's wait to the very, very end. When's the very, very end?
That's what I was wondering.
Well, if that's the case, we're going to spoil it. Star Fox 2,
SNES Classic.
SNES Classic.
First official release of the game.
It is.
It was out before on mods because some people hacked or something. I don't know.
Can't keep a secret.
I don't know how they do it.
So it's not going to be anything special or spectacular.
Don't blow that for them.
Well, but they might get something out of it that they didn't know, or I don't know, something. We're still trying to figure this out, guys. So,
it'll be entertaining.
But that's the thing. We didn't want to spoil like a Donkey Kong Country and us not know what the hell we're doing right yet. Right now. We're so Southern.
You don't realize it.
You don't realize it till you really have to like talk to someone that might actually
it's like,
listen.
My God, I might need subtitles.
Guys, if you need subtitles, if you will send $100 to Sorry Dude
We'll send a transcript.
Yeah, we'll send a transcript or something. Use Google Translate, maybe.
Yeah. It'll be question marks, so I don't know what they're saying either.
But we're going to have a lot of fun with this. And like I said, join us next time when we do Star Fox 2 for the SNES Classic. Thanks for listening.